Hello, in this Python programming tutorial, we are going to look at decision making, also known as conditional statements in other languages. So it's if, and else statement. So what is an if statement? I think you can sort of guess. It just checks if something equals something else, or more specifically, if the result of something, some condition, some value, results in true. So any of these operators that we used, where we was checking if a number is greater than something, or if a particular character existed in a string, for example, if something equals something, or something, or if something is not something, all of those, whether if it returns true or false, we can actually use them within our decision making. We're just going to keep it simple and just be using the double equal operator, which just checks if the left side and the right side are equal to each other. So the format is for an if, then you put some brackets, and I'm just going to put some actual values here. So I'm going to put 500 double equals 400. So obviously 500 does not equal 400. Then you put colon, and on a new line, make sure it's indented. This particular IDE has automatically indented it. In other languages, you might have some sort of curly brace system where that encloses the code for that particular statement. Python does not, so you need to just make sure you indent it to indicate to the compiler that this code is for the if statement. So in here, I'm just going to do a simple print saying no, like so. And I'm going to do another if statement. If 500 equals 500, so then I'm going to do yes, like so. So there's something to bear in mind. You can actually omit these brackets as well. I'll show you both of them. Both will work. Both are valid. I prefer it with brackets. One, that's a format in many other languages, and I come from programming in other languages first. And also, I just think it's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to see, okay, this is the condition that we're checking. So we get an output of yes, and we didn't get an output. Oh yeah, we don't get an output of no, because 500 doesn't equal 400. So hence why that didn't print. Obviously that was my bad. So the other extension that we can do is something called an else if. And we can have multiple lines of code here to be part of this if statement. That's more than fine. But if we go back to the left side, if you put elif, so this is else if, and we're going to say else if 450 equals, let's say 450. Actually, before that, we'll cover the else statement. So the else statement, so just else, just states if none of the other conditions are true, then do this condition. So this is a good way to have a fallback if you're coding an application and something's gone wrong. And I'm going to say no. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this. These are two separate if statements now. And I'm going to do 400 here. So first should print out yes, second should be no. So yes and no, because 500 is equal to 500, so it prints out yes. Because this equated to true, this will never run. 400 does not equal to 500, this will never print it, so it fell back on the else. But what if we wanted to check if, I don't know, this particular value equaled several different things? And let me create a variable so it's easier to demonstrate. So if I create var1 equals 500, for example. No particular reason why I'm using 500. That's just random number of children. So if I did if var1 double equal 500, and if I do print, then in here, if let's say I put var1 is equal to 500, maybe I want to also check if var1 equals several other values, and I don't want to have to, well, let me fix that. No, it doesn't equal a valid value. I don't want to have to do multiple if statements. One, it's extra code, and two, it's not efficient. Three, exactly another problem. Because if we, let's say did multiple if statements like this. So let's say if the valid ones are either 500 and 400, 300. If I run that, what do you think the result's going to be? Ignoring, what we've just done on the top, so just the bottom part of it. We get it's equal to 500, but no, it doesn't equal a valid value, even though it is a valid value. So it's backing into these. So if you want to combine if statements, so only run one of the essentially, conditions or the else, then you can do it like so. What you can do is put elif, which is short for else if, then the condition, so it can be any condition, doesn't have to be related to the values that we've used in the first condition, not at all. Now we're going to do print, I'll just copy this to save some time, equals 400. And now if we run this, what do you think we'll get as a result? We get var1 is equal to 500, so it goes to here, checks if the first condition is true, yes it is, prints it off, ignores the else if, and ignores the else. If I change this to 400, let's see what we get. Okay, var1 is equal to 400. So what it does is it goes to the first condition. Is it true? No. var1 does not equal 500. aka 400 does not equal 500. Now then checks the second condition. Does 400 equal 400? Yes it does. So it prints this out. And it skips any other else ifs or else. And you can have several else ifs as well. There should be like this. And obviously you could have, let's say, different values. Like, so I'm not going to test all of these. You can, as an extra test, you can, code some more, test these. And if, let's say, it's not a valid value like 100, it will just default to the else. So this is the format: if first, any else ifs next, then an else. So you don't have to have else ifs. You could just simply have an if on its own, like so. Or you could have it with an else. Or you could have it with an else if, or with an if else if else. So those are the valid combinations that you can choose. And there's just one last thing I want to actually cover, and that is you can actually put it essentially all on one single line as well. So just a single sort of simple decision making statement where you can do something like if, let's say, var1, and I was meant to be putting brackets around these, so I literally at the start of the video said prefer it with brackets, and then I forgot to put them. Like I said, it's valid either way. Both routes work. Let me just finish with the brackets. Ooh, that was unintended. Nope, wrong key. So let me just delete this here. Okay, so first of all, put some condition. Let's say var1, does it equal? Well, actually, let me demonstrate. You can use any operator. So var1, is var1 bigger than 50? It is. So let's say if it's just a simple statement, we could just do colon, and then actually put the value here. We could do print and put var1 is greater than 50. Run it and see what we get. Hopefully no errors. It's always the hope in programming. var1 is greater than 50, so you can do it all in one line like so. So that's it for decision making, also known as conditional statements in Python. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.